Yeah. Well,
anyway, I just think, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jordan Love got $230 million. Tua got 212. Derek Carr's contract is $150 million, and so
right.
It's looking a little better as far as the market. Maybe a lot of people thought we overpaid. As we go along, maybe the market value's looking a lot better. But with like Jordan Love, I was talking to Cullen off air, our brilliant engineer. It's about you're betting on. It's not so much how he performed in the past, what he's going to become, and that's the bet you're making because he hasn't performed over the last 4 years as a $230 million quarterback. But what you're betting on is that he's an appreciating asset that will be worth that during his contract. Now, two is interesting because I think that the Dolphins had a decision to make because Tua is very fragile and he's got a concussion history. He's been injured a lot. He's not a sturdy quarterback. And
well, let me tell you about that. My theory on that too, because Tua is a breed of running quarterback that has now been kind of brought into the league in the last 4 or 5 years, where I don't want to say a majority, but a good number of quarterbacks make their living in their feet a lot, and so because of that, they're going to be a lot more susceptible to injuries, and when they run in the ball, and how often do you see Tua take off and run, or even designed run plays, and more and more athletic quarterbacks are being asked to make plays with their feet, not just behind the line of scrimmage, and so when that happens, you're gonna be susceptible to more injuries. I mean, you got guys that are 240 pounds running full blast. It's not just the 7-yard drop back where you might get tackled and landed on. These guys are coming from across the field and they're looking to take you out because now you're a runner, right? You're not the protected quarterback. So it's kind of why I like the what they did with Derek Carr. I mean, you look at some of the guys that have been really successful. With Brady and Breeze and a lot of the guys that have had long careers in the NFL. Matt Ryan and those guys, they were not running quarterbacks. They stood in the pocket. They knew how to move around the pocket and let somebody get the ball to somebody else, let them run.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just see. We'll see what happens with those guys. I'm trying to think the quarterback that ended up getting hurt. Anyway, they paid him all this money, and he was, he ended up getting injured because he runs the ball too much.
Yeah. Now, from an up and coming team, I guess, like San Francisco, they have had a great advantage because they've been paying Purdy for less than $1 million and receiving an All-Pro performance. So they have a bunch of caps. So basically, they got their entire cap still available, as opposed to having 25% of this cap being eaten up by a quarterback. Now that's going to change because they're going to have to extend Purdy, and he's probably going to be in the 50 to 55 to $60 million range for his extension. And that's one of the things that a team that, what you said, who invested in a quarterback didn't work out. What they end up doing is getting a Spencer Rattler type or Jake Haener who came out of nowhere, or someone you didn't expect to come, sort of lead, like Purdy did, lead the team, and you're not paying him.
And then he's another one. He's another drop back quarterback that will probably have a lot of years in this league. Yeah. Unless he gets some kind of, freak injury. But again, they protect the quarterbacks in the pocket, or even outside the pocket to some degree behind the line of scrimmage. So if he's one of those guys that's not, looking to run right and make plays, which he's not, I think you've got some longevity and you've got a little bit more safety in your investment. But when you've got those guys like Tua, that instinctively is going to take off and run and open himself up to, injury, all of a sudden that $250 million, is a little bit more of a gamble.
Yeah, and I think that's why he was paid a little bit below market value. We got a text that asked, it states, all right, real quick, it says, good morning. What is the advantage of Saints having training camp in California, especially if the fans are not allowed to see the Saints in practice? Well, I'll give you a bit.
100 degrees and rainy?
100, well, I think well, first of all, trivia-wise, the Saints' first training camp was in California, 1967. I think it was in, I don't want to say San Diego.
Vero Beach?
No, California. It was in California. But the first...
Vero Beach was in Florida?
Florida. That's in Florida. That's in Florida. That's where the Dodgers trained. But they had their first training camp in California, 1967, which was, 56 years ago, 57 years ago. But I think the only advantage is, a primary advantage is you get all the distractions out the way. You're in a dormitory, you're in a hotel, no family, no friends, no outside distractions. You could just focus on, just football. Whereas if you did a training camp here, you go home at night, you don't have anything that's different in a routine. And I think given the first 2 years and, the very moderate success, if any, they had to try something different. Now, it's a pain for the teams because it's a logistical issue and the setup out there temporarily is costly and it has some issues with that. But I do think that they're trying to do something, change something out different, and maybe eliminate certain distractions that you would have as far as distractions. And so we'll see. I mean, it all goes. The great thing about the NFL, it's a meritocracy. You are what your record is. You can't spin it. You really, if you're 8-9, 9-18, you're 9-18. You really can't spin it. I mean, a 9-18 that finished strong is the same as a 9-18 that lost its last 4 games and didn't make the playoff. So it's one of the few things that are left in this world is a meritocracy, and so that's what basically it is. Also, like Albert said, we just got a text saying there's 30% humidity as opposed to 95% humidity here in August. I think that helps. You also can get more work in where you don't, where you're. It cuts 2 ways. You get more work in, but also working in 95-degree, percent humidity and 95 degrees also maybe increases toughness, increases stamina. So it goes both ways, You never know.
I don't know that I agree with that. I think athletes perform better at their peak, and extreme heats and humidity like that.
I agree. Yeah. Right.
They're not playing in 95-degree heat every week. Right. They rarely do, if ever.
Well,
90% they're in domes. So play in the conditions you're going to play in, and
that's true.
California replicates that a whole lot better than South Louisiana.
I think the old school coaches believe that practicing at 100 degrees and don't get water builds character.
Yeah, right. We'll take some salt tablets, right?
So anyway.
Remember salt tablets?
Yes.
Kind of a precursor to Gatorade. Go take some salt tablets, and you get nauseated from the salt tablets. It was just, just didn't know.
Sort of antiquated. Dick Nolan used to tell a story when he was player coach at the New York Giants that he had a separated shoulder, and he came off the field, and the trainer, his name was probably named like Sparky or something, told him to lie on the ground, and he said just lie on the ground, and he stomped on his shoulder until he got back into place and said go back out there and play. So they've come a long way from those days of NFL football. All right, we got one more text before we go. It says, love you guys, but it's not a sports show, and that's not why I tuned in for. So we're going to talk law, but we talk law all week. So we just want to have a little fun talking sports, and maybe some of the people who like sports and don't like law will tune in for a little while here, to hear us. So
there you go. And then we hook them, right?
We hook them.
All the wonderful things we know about sports.
Because you know what? Reading the civil code is so much more interesting. It's just as interesting as talking about the Saints, LSU, and the Pelicans. So, so we just have to have a little hook, as Albert said. Okay, let's go to a break. Sunseri and Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
WWL, home of your Saints and LSU. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Get ready, sports fans. The station of the Saints and LSU is now the home of your New Orleans Pelicans. Feel the connection of this powerhouse partnership on WWL.
My boy Troy Duhon is more committed than ever to providing you with the best experience when searching for your new or pre-owned vehicle. Hey, it's Tommy Tucker. The dealerships have expanded. My boy Troy Duhon now with a presence on the West Bank with the dealerships that were previously owned by Ray Brandt. But before we get to that, they finally have a great inventory. They are dealing with big discounts. Used car values still at an all-time record level, so there's never been a better time to trade your car in or sell it. Go to PremierBuysCars.com, see what your trade-in's worth, or to sell your vehicle, because they're always looking to buy. A lot of Premier certified used cars available. All of them come with a warranty and a 3-day money-back guarantee. Shop online at PremierAutomotive.com and check out the dealerships. Toyota of New Orleans, Premier Honda, New Orleans East, Premier Kia of Kenner, Premier Nissan of Metairie, Premier Nissan of Harvey, Premier Volkswagen of Harvey, Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and Premier Hyundai. And if you can, please go to GivingHopeNOLA.org and volunteer.
You're not going to want to miss this. For the first time, Diamonds Direct is hosting an exclusive designer sample sale starting July 26th this weekend for 3 days only. Tons of engagement rings and trending designer jewelry on sale too. Up to 50% off during this first ever designer sample sale. And an additional $100 off with your appointment. 3 days only and Sunday. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes literally focus on what you do well, like growing your business, and let Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Fontes. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Call for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717.
All right, I'll let you know when we get somebody. Where are we going with the law today?
I think I'm going to talk about a general topic today. Cost of
If you own a
lawsuits.
timeshare, don't miss
Cost
this
of
public
lawsuits.
service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling.
Oh. Hey, I lost you guys. I think you have gone dark. Hello?
Made Wesley
Yeah,
a
you back.
trusted resource for over
All right, I still got you. I never lost you on my
Yeah,
end.
it was lost on my end.
Give us a call. and
I'll be ready for it on the
send you
off
our
chance.
time-sensitive
Throw it back.
information kit for
Okay.
you with the straight facts about your timeshare.
I was saying I didn't know that the USA basketball game that was today, it's really early. It's literally 15 minutes after the show ends.
800-329-2121.
Yeah, it's 10:15.
really? Oh, good. So we get to,
No, in the morning, yeah.
who are we playing? Hey, sweetie.
All things
Playing
legal.
Serbia.
Sunseri and Albert
Oh, that
Nicaud
might not be
on
easy.
WWL
It's Jokic, yeah.
Odyssey Station. Connect
You wanna
now
come
on
in?
the York Winhart Jewelers Talk and Text line 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Sort of wanted to talk about a general topic today about lawsuits, cost of litigation. Heck, we've been on WWL for 17 years, and we get a lot of calls from listeners just having routine disputes. And a lot of disputes, when we, analyze, part of a claim is, what is the cost of litigation? What is the potential benefit of, you get out of the litigation? and this is civil litigation, and what do you want to accomplish? And there's a lot of personal disputes that people have that are heart-wrenching, difficult, and they want to sue. Maybe it's something that's said over Facebook or something that was, some type of harassment that was, it doesn't raise to a level of legal harassment. It's just sort of poor behavior. And they say, I want to sue someone, and and I think you have to go through an inquiry. What does a lawsuit involve? What are some of the costs? And what is the potential benefit of doing that? And basically, a civil lawsuit for the most part is a investment. And what you're deciding is whether the investment in the lawsuit is greater than the potential outcome. It may be like even in a business sense.
I've had too many people say, I don't care what it costs until they got the first bill.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Well, yeah, then you do care what it costs, because at the end of the day, we try as best we can to take the emotion out of the lawsuit and have you, attempt to look at it from a business and dollars and cents standpoint. If you're going to pay me $15,000 to collect $5,000, then is it really worth it? And I mean, if you got unlimited funds, I don't care. I want them to pay, and then we've set the groundwork and said, hey, look, this is what we're expecting. It's going to be a long road. They're fighting. They're pushing back. They're going to be defending this thing, and they're going to be sending a lot of discovery and setting a lot of depositions and doing those things. And then at some point, is it worth it, right? And Doug will tell you there are very few instances where attorney's fees are recoverable. Mm-hmm. In cases of fraud, or it has to be by statute, or conventionally, meaning in a contract. So if you have let's say a construction contract with your builder, and there are attorney's fee provisions whereby the successful party in the litigation is awarded attorney's fees, well, all of a sudden that makes people want to try to settle the case a little more, because they know they may not just be paying the damages, but if we have to go take this thing to trial or very close there too, or even beyond trial, it's going to cost a bunch of money in attorney's fees, and the loser may be paying their own attorney and the other side's attorney. So, like Doug said, it is an investment, and you need to make sure that, what the investment is, what you're investing is worth the return.
And a lot of practical situations that we have, and it's very hard, like, for example, if you have a succession and you're the executor of a succession, and you had maybe an heir or a family member who's insisting that they're entitled to a $1,000 expense for reimbursement. This was for dad, and there's a question as to whether it was for dad or not, and you have arguments on both sides. I mean, what you have to decide maybe as the executor is, how do I address this issue? Do I want to fight this issue, like Albert says, and maybe go to a hearing where it costs you a couple $1,000s to have an evidentiary hearing, and you're fighting over $1,000? And a lot of times people say, well, it's about the principle. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it may be about the principle. But, economics is a big factor in determining, where do you go from here? There's a lot of fights that you walk away from because the economics just doesn't work. And maybe what happened was wrong. And maybe, from a legal perspective, maybe the damages weren't that great, but it was definitely wrong. And so you have to weigh. And, businessmen have that same issue, is to say, hey, do we want to spend X amount of money, $10,000 to make a to make a point of principle, or do we want to spend $1,000 to solve the problem? And those are it's. I guess when you make those decisions, it's not made in a vacuum. You have to consider. I mean, a lot of times when you file a lawsuit, you're coming out of pocket $600-700. That's just what the court cost. And the cost of I tell people every time we have to file a motion, we're paying the courts anywhere from $30 to $300-400 every time you file a piece of paper with them. And so the expenses go very, very quickly. And so part of the assessment always has to be is to what is the cost? What is the potential benefit? And it's interesting. We get this question a lot of times. They say, we have this litigation and we have dispute against this other party. How much is it going to cost? And what I usually respond is, if you're a contractor, I said, it's like asking a contractor how much it's going to cost to build a new construction, but I have no idea what the square footage is. And so,
right. Well, and you brought up a good point earlier, right? My example was a construction case. Okay, not quite as personal. If it's your personal home, it can very well be. But in a succession, right? To try to temper the emotions in a succession or in a domestic dispute over child support or over, he was hiding, $5,000 in an account, and so you're going to spend $5,000 to try to, find the money, and it's going to be real hard to convince that spouse or sibling in a succession proceeding that my other nasty, rotten sibling, can't get away with this, and I don't care what it's going to cost to try to, prove myself right and that sibling wrong. And so, there's all of those things. And again, good lawyers try to set expectations early and want in almost all situations, they want to avoid going to court. They want to avoid going to trial, not because they're scared to go to court, not because they're not zealously representing you, but because it's a long, expensive process.
Lost him, Colin.
So anyway, let's go ahead and take a break.
Yeah,
and we'll be back to talk a little bit more about this and field any questions.
Okay. So we'll be right back after this brief timeout and all things legal. Stay tuned.
WWL.
You good?
News Talk Sports Powerhouse. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Tommy Tucker. Occasionally while talking to people, they'll say, you have to get up at 3 a.m. every morning? And I say, no, I don't have to. I get to get up at 3 a.m. every morning. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I have my dream job in my hometown, and I get to talk with you every morning. I deeply appreciate every minute that you spend listening to me as we learn together, laugh together, sometimes cry together, and often shake our heads together. Always live, local, and original, Monday through Friday, 6 till 10 a.m. right here on WWLA. AMFM.com and the Odyssey app.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners
You good?
rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need.
Got grandchildren
And with
fixing
the
to
Beacon
leave.
Pro
They've
Plus
been
app,
here for a
they're
week
the
and a
brands
half.
I depend on.
You good?
Yeah.
Right in my
It dropped a little bit.
Awesome. I heard that, but I was like, what happened?
Yeah, it dropped for about a minute and a half.
$1,500.
Maybe about 45
way.
seconds.
We're down.
Did it just come back a second ago?
No, he was out for about
building.
half,
I'm
30
Angie
seconds.
Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing
And-
All right, because I heard you say lost him, Cullen.
Yeah, I said
didn't
lost it,
hear
yeah.
Like anything else.
and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Is the IRS on your back? Hi, this is Caitlin with Go Tax Resolution. If you've received a letter from the IRS or state demanding payment for back taxes, give the pros at Go Tax Resolution a call. Our team of former IRS agents and passionate resolution specialists will get to work right away. Owing the IRS can be scary, but you don't have to do it alone. Give us a call today at 985-722-1040 and let us give you peace of mind. Or go online to gotaxresolution.com. That's GEAUX taxresolution.com.
Hi, I'm Sam with Go Tax Resolution. Some claims for the Employee Retention Tax Credit will expire this year. Now is the time to call and see if you qualify. Call Go Tax Resolution at 985-722-1040 before they expire. The Employee Retention Tax Credit is a refund that businesses may qualify for if they maintain their employees during the pandemic. Some credits will expire this year. Contact Go Tax Resolution at 985-722-1040 or gotaxresolution.com. That's
Were you
taxresolution.com.
Celebrate financial freedom. Diversify your assets with
Were
Southern
you-
Coins. SCPM.
Could you? Were you still disconnected when you took us to break?
No. It came back.
I say because like I'm listening back to it and everything. You were gone like maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Because you said a minute and a half, and I started panicking, and I was like, God, I didn't.
Albert was
solution.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
If it keeps happening, we could try to switch over to Commerce too.
Yeah.
That can
We'll
give
see.
you
We'll
a
see if it
fresh
happens.
start.
Yeah.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
Just watch yourself. I don't want you dropping out and saying like, oh fuck, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
All things legal on WWL.
And we're at 43. We have one more break, so this could be a big segment if you want to.
Text line 504-260-1870. And don't forget to rewind on the Odyssey app.
Hey, we're back. Sunseri and Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We're just talking a little bit about lawsuits, lawyers, and I guess having a lawyer, especially one over the course of your lifetime, it's sort of like a relationship in the sense that what makes a good lawyer is a dispensement of wisdom in a situation. And a lot of times, law is a component, but there are other components also. There's personal factors. There's factors about the ability to sustain, lawsuits. It's about the ability to, disruption of lawsuits. It's about what are you trying to accomplish? And what I think a good lawyer generally tries to do for their clients is get you from point A to point B in the most efficient fashion as possible. And that works in a lot of different contexts. That could work in the context of a succession, in the sense that the greatest enemy of a succession is more and more litigation. And sometimes it's unavoidable, and you have to do it. But sometimes what the goal is to get it from opening to closing in the most efficient way, because like for a succession, if you have a dispute, do you really win the battle or war if you win the battle, but the entire pie is half of what it was when you started because of the cost of litigation, attorney's fees, and all the other issues that go with it? So, again, what you want to do as a lawyer or in selecting a lawyer is to see how they're going to navigate you from getting from point A to point B or accomplish the objective that you want. Because a lot of times when we consult new clients, they sort of give us a problem. And they give us a lengthy explanation that's maybe sort of disjointed. And it's like, okay, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to happen in this situation? And so it's law is part of it, but also there's a lot of other external factors that help determine what is the best course of action. And the financial viability of sustaining a lawsuit. What is the return? how much time is it going to take you to participate in this lawsuit, and whether that time could be better used for more productive activities. So there's a lot of different factors in a lot of specific situations, and I'm sure, Albert, with contractors, if you have a contractor who's in a dispute over a punch list, is it you could win the battle and be proven right on, hey, yeah, I didn't have, I finished the punch list, but the cost of proving that you had completed the punch list might be more than what's actually in dispute.
Yeah, that happens quite frequently. And again, we one of the things I hear very often, and it's why is this taking so long, right? And it is litigation, and I put it in my contract, and the contract says I have been advised by my lawyer, and I do, and I point that out whenever we sign a contract that says, that litigation can take a long time. It's frustrating. It's costly. It's litigation. It's inconvenient. They're going to send you discovery, and you're going to have to go through, all of your documents, all of your records, perhaps some cell phone records to get text messages and all of your emails back and forth, and all of these things and documents and requests and all of, that you're going to have to answer. And it's very inconvenient. It's very frustrating. And so, when you sit down and tell someone, hey, look, this is going to take time. This is going to be, we have to get to this point before we can evaluate your case, even in a personal injury case. When we handle personal injury cases, people are like, look, why is this taking so much time? And sometimes the answer is, well, you know what, your medical condition is still being worked up. We don't know what your final medical situation is going to be. And of course, when you explain this to people, they understand, when it's 6 months, a year down the road, like, look, the doctor's still treating you. We don't know. You've not reached what we call maximum medical improvement, where you have these injuries and you're not going to get any better, or you're only going to get better if you have surgery, or whatever the case may be. And so we have to explain to them, look, you don't want to settle this case based on these meds where there's some real unknowns. We haven't really even, had an MRI yet, or you're still going through physical therapy. So we don't know if the physical therapy is going to be effective. So we have to wait to see how your body reacts, how you heal, or if you don't heal. And then all of a sudden we can now evaluate your case based upon, the best medical information we have. And more often than not, we have to wait until that medical condition has gotten to the point where the doctors can say, okay, look, I feel that, with a reasonable degree of medical certainty that this patient's going to need surgery, that they're going to have arthritis. We now have somewhat of a complete picture of the medical condition going forward, and we can make a reasonable evaluation as to what the future looks like. And so, again, if you're going to, you always hear, don't accept a quick check. Well, I kind of agree with that. If you're 6 weeks in, you feel great, everything's fine, and you maybe got a 2 month injury, then, let's settle the case on a 2 month injury basis. But if it looks like, yeah, I still got these problems, or it just won't go away, my arms numb, all that kind of thing, then no, I think we need to make sure that this injury is totally developed to where we understand what the medical condition is, so then we can maximize the recovery.
Also on another spin that we have is, I always say, they might have 30,000 new cases that might open in a particular jurisdiction, a year. And you have 14, 16 judges in some of the bigger jurisdictions. And if you do the math, and you might have in a court, 50 or 60,000 open cases. Who knows? And you got 15 judges. that's quite a traffic jam. And, you know, a lot of times when we go to like Rule Day, which we call Rule Day, it's basically a day to handle preliminary disputes. And sometimes there may be 30 or 40 cases on the docket just for the judge to handle some preliminary disputes early in the litigation. That, you know, they have an issue regarding discovery or something with that the court has to rule on before the case can go forward. And so if you just look at the raw numbers, you're not going, I'd say you'd have to have the courts open 24/7, 365 days a week to even start processing these cases on a trial basis so that you can turn them over real quick. So it's also a matter of numbers that,
right.
You know, you say, look, we're going to be in a different time warp. And, you know, a lot of times when we have cases that, you know, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years to go. And, you know, we'd get calls in a week and they say, what's going on? And we tell them and they call a week later and they say, what's going on? Well, it's the same thing that was going on the week before because things just go slow. And I think what happens is if you have that expectation, people are okay. I think what, you know, where angst come from is unmet expectations. If you have expectations that you file suit, that you get an answer, you know, people do get upset. And, you know, it was very interesting. We had a succession dispute. And so we filed a request to have, you know, just advising the court as to what the issues are. And, you know, I had to explain to the client that when I file this, you don't get it. You don't get a disposition. We're just giving notice.
Right.
It's not, isn't it? You know, we're about a year or two away from even getting it answered. And so it's just people, you know, when you're in the situation, if you understand this is the lay of the land, if you understand that it's going to take a long time, then your expectations are known. Then you say, okay, it's just the way it is, and you don't have any other alternative explanation.
With a construction case, right? With a construction case, you file a suit against the contractor. All of a sudden,
we should break after he ends.
10 subcontractors or 5 subcontractors. Now all of a sudden you've got 7 lawyers involved. If they, you know, got brought in 5. Now you've got 7 lawyers involved. You've got 7 lawyers' schedules, right? So we want to set a deposition. Well, now all of a sudden, I can't do it that weekend. I can't do it that day. And so now you're looking at
months,
a 3 or 4 month delay because, okay, we've got to coordinate all these lawyers' schedules. And then you got a trial calendar. Okay, look, we're at a pretrial conference. I can't judge. I got a you know, jury trial starting that week. Okay, the next lawyer's like, yeah, I do. So now all of a sudden you set a pretrial conference. Everything's pretty much ready to go. But now you're 6, 8 months, maybe even a year out before you can go to trial. And that trial got to coordinate and match with the court's calendar. I'm sorry, we don't have anything that month. That's a criminal month, or that's a, you know, this, that. And so, you know, that's not a jury month. We got to move it back 2 more months. And so it's, those things are just, litigation takes time.
Yes.
And so that's something that people just need to understand. You know, and look, there are instances where you get a good lawyer on the other side that's reasonable, that you can have a conversation with and say, hey, look, guys, this is going to cost our clients a bunch of money. What can we do to get it resolved? How about if we, you know, we'll accept less just to make this go away because we know it's all going to.
That's right.
You know, it's all going to turn up.
All right, let's go to a break. Next is Sunseri and Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout. WWL, home of Saints legends Bobby Hebert and Deuce McAllister. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Get the WWL shows you love delivered to your phone free. Download the Odyssey app and follow your favorites. Bobby Hebert, Mike Detillier, Steve Geller. Listen when you want, how you want. Or tell your smart speaker, play WWL. WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier Injury Lawyers. Call 444-4444.
Not attorney spokesperson. Chad Dudley, New Orleans. As you know, summertime is here. And for most people, that means more activities, more golf, more biking, more of whatever you love to do. But if you're dealing with minor aches and pains, your more could become less. This is why I'm here to tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that helps fight pain naturally. For instance, I was sent Relief Factor to try, and I've been taking it every single day. I'll tell you what, I feel the difference every day. You see, instead of masking your pain, Relief Factor's formula is designed to help reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, and it's been a game changer for so many people. So let's get after it this summer. Let's feel good. Let's do more of the things that we love to do. Don't let pain keep you down. Give Relief Factor a try and save on your first order. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
We're getting to the busy time of hurricane season, and Alarm Protection Services want you to know that now is the time to get prepared in case of an emergency. Hey, it's Tommy Tucker. Make sure your alarm battery's up to date and always have a backup on hand. With Alarm Protection Services Smart Home, you can manage your home's temperature and alarm settings with automated schedules on APS's smartphone app. I know because I do. APS keeping you safe when you're away. Go to securitybyaps.com or call 504-455-5277.
Attention, New Orleans Public Library cardholders. Do your children and teens have library cards? Due to a new law, Louisiana Revised Statute 25:2025, parents or guardians may need to update their youth's library card permissions. Visit NOLAlibrary.org or your local library for more information. From Botox to tummy tucks, choose Weiler Plastic Surgery Group, Metairie.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie.
Hey, Colin, how long are we going to have?
For your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years. So we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Give me a second.
Yeah, okay.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song. And all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
This summer, take a trip down memory lane with me and hear from the legends of baseball. I'm Brett Boone from the Brett Boone Podcast. Every week I have a conversation with one of baseball's greats to talk about.
We're going to have basically a minute.
Eddie Johnson, Pete Rose, Deion Sanders, Jay Buhner.
I'm going to do no music, no rejoin. I'm just going to count you down.
Stories.
We can preview the next hour.
Who's next? Follow and listen.
That's a good, and hey, don't get out too early.
Wherever you get.
Okay.
Now?
Hey, ran long. We're going to national news, local news. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. We're on till 10 o'clock today on All Things Legal every Sunday until the Saints start playing at noon, and then we'll get to sleep late.
Maybe text line.
But also you can call us at 260-1870 or text us on the Oakland Heart Talk and text line at 260-1870. And we can answer any further legal questions you have. So stay tuned for hour number 2 in All Things Legal. We're going to national news, local news, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes.
All right, you're clear for a bit.
All right.
The News Talk Sports Leader. WWL New Orleans, WWL FM and HD1 Kenner New Orleans. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Christopher Cruz. A staggering number. Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign said today it's raised $200 million in the past week.
Vice President Harris held her first fundraiser in Massachusetts and touted how much money the campaign's brought in so far.
The day after I announced my candidacy, we saw the best 24 hours of grassroots fundraising in presidential campaign history.
She addressed attacks from former President Trump, calling them,
Well, it's just plain weird.
A CBS's Stacey Lynn, former President Donald Trump, returning the favor, calling her names.
The problem is that Kamala is worse than Joe. She's worse. She's a radical left lunatic.
Crews across the western U.S. are trying to contain scores of wildfires. CBS News Sacramento, Sakura Gray is at an evacuation center in Chico, California.
This is the neighborhood church where the American Red Cross is providing everything from food, a place to sleep, also mental health professionals here to walk these folks through this challenging time of uncertainty. We spoke with the American Red Cross earlier, and they shared some tips for anybody else who may have to flee the flames.
Have a kit, right? Know your evacuation route and have all those documents. Have that kit handy.
Israel has attacked Hezbollah targets deep in Lebanon in retaliation for a rocket attack on a soccer pitch in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights yesterday. At least 12 children were killed. In Tokyo, Secretary of State Antony Blinken was asked about the conflict in Gaza.
We're determined to bring the Gaza conflict to a close. It's gone on for far too long. It's cost far too many lives. We want to see Israelis, we want to see Palestinians, we want to see Lebanese live free from the threat of conflict and violence.
Venezuelans are choosing today whether to give another 6 years to President Nicolas Maduro. He spoke after he voted. Under Maduro, Venezuela has suffered the world's worst peacetime economic collapse. Superstar Olympic gymnast Simone Biles is acting like the champion she is.
Simone Biles was brilliant, hitting on all 4 events despite re-injuring her calf muscle warming up for floor. Her coach, Cecile Landy.
A couple weeks ago, she felt, but after I stopped and then just a little bit again today.
She says it improved during the competition.
On bars, started to feel better.
And overall, it did not affect her performance.
It was pretty amazing.
The team final is Tuesday. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, Paris.
And veteran American swimmer Caleb Dressel added another relay victory to his long list. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris.
Hey, you back?
Everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SAVE, or text SAVE to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SAVE.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SAVE to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
WWL First News. I'm Chris Miller. Our forecast today.
It'll be warm and very humid today with scattered showers and thunderstorms. They will be hit or miss, but we can see some passing heavy downpours, much like we've been seeing the last couple of days. This afternoon, our high temperatures will be around 90 degrees. And then during the new work week, we'll finally see much lower rain chances, but the days will be getting hotter with high temperatures soaring into the mid-90s.
WWL TV meteorologist Alexa Trishler will be back with the forecast. A woman is in the hospital recovering from a gunshot wound after an incident this morning in Mid-City. According to NOPD, cops found the victim Sunday afternoon 30 inside a home in the 500 block of South Scott Street, a couple blocks off.
You're back?
Yes.
All right, we are chilling. Got about 3 minutes till we're back on with the open. We got a bunch of text messages. Are you?
I'm back on. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We got a bunch. We got someone. We got someone talking about entertainment law. We got someone talking about. We've someone who's texting us about. You're saying that we could do sports talk and then it's legal toward the end of the show. We have a timeshare question. I don't know if you guys do timeshare stuff.
President Archie Chasson says the spill.
Actually, I represent a rapper. I don't even know who his name. His name is Little Elt. You ever hear of him?
Little Elt?
Get the Gap.
I don't recognize that name now.
Get the Gap.
From Bayou Lafourche. The intake is a
Little
few
elf.
miles from the edge of the
Get
spill.
dug at.
As of Saturday,
I think I've heard of that before, but
Yeah. He's in a
will not
dispute.
be meeting this year.
understandably so.
Well, I like a copyright
House
dispute
Speaker
because
Philip
I get
DeVilliers
this all
says this
straight.
legislature wants to
Copyright.
spend the next few months talking with state agencies.
So what? Yeah, they said that they've got their demo and everything, but they're wondering what's the next step to not get taken advantage of.
It's just premature.
And then obviously the other one is any thought on breaking a timeshare contract, which is based on misrepresentations and lacks a truthful statement of cost.
Yes.
Revenues. You can't do that through cutting.
And we can continue talking about whatever the hell else you guys want to dive into. I kind of like that. What we talked about today. It's been very easy to understand and very impactful so far.
Well,
Saints are taking a break from training camp in Irvine, California today before they get back to work in full pads.
We had one guy call in. It seemed kind of like he wanted to vent more than he had a question, which is why I was a little hesitant to talk on the air. But he called in and he was like, "Hey, I just want to pose this question to the guys, and then I'll listen and I just want to hear their take on it and everything like that." He wanted to know kind of about how and why certain cases are prioritized in the courts over others. He was using an example, which is why is it that I've been in a lawsuit with a city for a year and a half and it's just going really slowly, but something happened with Donald Trump's. Something happened with Donald Trump on Tuesday, and it's in court by Friday, kind of deal. And I'm like, dude, I hate to say it, but people are gonna. I told him on Sunday, I was like, I hate to say it, but the general populace is probably gonna care more about Trump's case than your case.
Yeah, I know.
I don't mean to but he's like, yeah, but I just even if my case is worse and I killed 10 people and Trump just does one bad fraud case or whatever, why is it that his thing is prioritized? And I'm like, I hate to say it, that's where the eyes are gonna be, especially with the presidential election. Some of these things need to be expedited, I guess.
Right. Well, with the presidential election, you got national interest.
You got so much interest, and so I was like, hey, I don't think you need a lawyer to tell you this, but he was like, I just kind of wanted to get a lawyer's sake, and I was like, I'll bring up to the guys in a general sense why case prioritization does exist and why there's a little bit of favoritism with it.
Talk sports power.
You can dive into that if you want to. You don't have to address it if you don't.
Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud.
Otherwise, but chilling. I took us out with the "Be Here to Love You" Van Zandt, which has easily one of the greatest lyrics I've ever heard in my life.
1-870 or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, we're back for hour number 2. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Give us a call, 260-1870, or text us in the Oakland Heart Talking text line at 260-1870. Let's see, a couple of things. One, want to wish our friend Eddie Daniels, sports director at WGNO. He had a pretty big heart attack in Los Angeles while he's covering the Saints. He's in intensive care. Prayers go out to Eddie, his family. Hopefully a full and speedy recovery. Eddie's been fantastic for high school football and all, and he's one of those sports reporters who will ask the hard questions. He doesn't really care. He doesn't care about the blowback. You could ask Jim Moore on down the line. He sort of tells it like it is, and so we just hope he does well. And I always love when Eddie started out as a intern at WDSU under Buddy DiLiberto. That was his mentor, and when he was doing that, we used to play basketball at Girard pickup games with him. And what Eddie would do was when we'd play the game, he would do the play-by-play while we were playing. So in other words, he would be say, Daniel, cross midcourt, hippity hop dribble, throws it to Sunseri. Sunseri back to Daniel, sit right hand, and he would do the play. He'd do the play-by-play as we were playing the game. So I think he was probably he was at Loyola at the time, in his 21 years old. So I figured he would probably be big. And so, and he has made it.
Sportscaster, right?
Yes. And so, So I just hope he's okay. I'm hearing a little information on him. He's got a long road ahead. They're not. Well, he's got a lot of work. He needs a lot of healing. So we're just going to pray for him and hope that he gets ready and gets back to it.
So while we're on that subject. Actually, a New Orleans sports figure and New Orleans character passed away last week.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Billy Campen.
Billy Campen, yes.
Billy coached at Rummel. He Billy scored the last points in Tulane
Stadium.
He kicked the field goal for Rummel to beat De La Salle, and that was the last game played in Tulane Stadium. And so he just a great guy, and his daughters were great athletes, and he had some pretty impressive stats at Tulane. He was drafted and decided now he wanted to go play at Tulane, and so he ended up doing that, and loved the city. A buddy said, I couldn't go to the Saints game with him because every 5 minutes he would stop and talk to somebody for 10 minutes, and then he'd walk another 20 feet and see somebody else he knew and talk to them. So rest in peace, Billy. Good friend, great guy, and we'll miss you.
All right. And also, before we go back to law, talk a little bit about LSU football. I'm gonna say this a few times. Is Garrett Nussmeier will be in the conversation for the Heisman. That's my prediction. I'm not going to say he's going to win one. I'm not going to say he's going to even be in New York. But I think that he will be in the conversation, meaning he'll be one of those 10 or 15 players who will be discussed and at some point during the season. That's my prediction.
You are such a homer.
I'm not. This is not a homer prediction. Okay, I'm gonna say I said the same thing about Joe Burrow when he was rated as a 7th round pick 5 years ago, and I have to give the credit. My friend Renee Nadeau gave me, Renee, our friend. He said during training camp, spring training, he said something is happening here when they hired the new offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. He said something is happening here that is amazing, and he said, Burrow is slinging the ball all over the place, and this offense that they're putting in is fantastic. That was before, they played one game, and so Renee had said Burrow is. He said he's going to be mentioned in the Heisman. So I did repeat that. And that at the time we said that, he was rated as a 7th round pick, possibly free agent, and he vaulted from that to Heisman Trophy. But I do think with Nussmeier, which is much like Burrow came from a football family. His two brothers one played at Nebraska. His father played at Florida. In fact, his father was I don't know if he was the MVP in defense in the Sugar Bowl in the early 70s against, I think he was playing Florida against, or was it Ole Miss? I think it was Florida. He came from football, and his father coached University of Ohio. And he came from a football family. Garrett Nussmeier's dad actually was a quarterback for the Saints. He was a 3rd-string quarterback. He comes from a football family. It's like a politician who comes from a political family. It's inside of you, and I think he's ready. I think he's going to exceed expectations by all, without question. So that's
all right. We'll see.
That's not a homer prediction. It's just a prediction. Okay. We were talking a little bit about just lawyers in general and lawsuits and claims and that sort of thing. It's always interesting to, when we meet with a client we're always, what is your objective here? What is, because in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to successions or even family law, you have to sort of parse out what are the personal issues, what are the external factors, and what are the real legal issues, and sort of parse those out. Because a lot of times, like in successions, you have a high level of emotions, and a lot of times the emotions arise. You might have children of the decedents who are in their 60s. And there's a lot of acrimony, there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of disruption. And, they're and it's spilling over to the legal, I guess, venue or legal forum. And it's like, hey, the judge needs to know this is the kind of son my brother was, or this was the kind of daughter she was. The judge needs to know this about them. And, what we have to do as lawyers is say, hey, whether your brother pushed you off the swing set when you were 6 years old, that's really not going to matter to the judge 60 years later, 50 years later. That's the issue is how are we going to divide up this estate, and whether maybe there are certain reimbursements that the parties are entitled to, or whether there was certain money that was taken that shouldn't have been taken that should be credited to their estate or their payout or their allocation. And, a lot of times we have situations where the emotional overlay is affecting the ability to process the claim, and they want the emotional overlay to be adjudicated by the judge. And a lot of times we have to say, it's a terrible thing that happened to you. But the judge could give a flip as to whether that happened or not, because that's really not the issue here. That's really not the issue on how, maybe the estate's going to be allocated, or that's not the issue as to, what reimbursements you're entitled to. That's somewhere else, but that's not in the court system, and so, or something that the judge is interested in. And in fact, I say, some of the clients who want to raise the issue, I said, we only have maybe 5 or 10 minutes with the judges a lot of times, especially if we're going to a pretrial conference to tell, to sort of informally tell the judge the case. Do you want me to give them a bunch of information that he doesn't care about and get him hacked off at us, or use that time to give the information that is relevant to help to move the needle? And so I think that's part of, what the lawyer has to do is be a gatekeeper as to, what information is really relevant to the dispute and what's not.
Yeah, and that I find that all the time. I just recently had a client I had to terminate, right? I had to say, look, I can't continue to represent you anymore, because they wanted me to confer to the other side all of this information, which at the point they wanted me to do it was irrelevant. It didn't matter anymore. And I kept trying to explain to them over and over and over again that this is not relevant. That ship has sailed. It's not worth pursuing this conversation, because the lawyer's not going to care. The other side's not going to care. The court's not going to care. So, why am I going to, give this direction or give these facts that the other side already knows, right? And so I didn't do it. They kept insisting. I said, look, get somebody else to do it. And so, and that happens. That, again, that's in my contract too. That, listen, you're paying me a lot of money for my advice. It's the only thing I sell. It's my stock in trade, right? I've been doing this, over 35 years, and it's, it's something that I've learned, and I've quite honestly feel like I've gotten pretty good at. So give me the opportunity to do what I do and what you're paying me to do. And you're giving me advice, or you're asking for my advice. I give it to you on how to proceed, or whatever the case may be. And then you're going to argue with me about it and want to do it your way. And so we see that Not super often, but we see it often enough to where, they want to tell you how to practice law. And, sometimes you feel like saying, listen, go to law school, get a law degree, and you can do it however you want to do it. But this is, and certainly, you want your client to participate in litigation. You want your client to give you the facts you need to build your case. You want your client to, reveal everything to you, and then, and help you develop the case. But at the same time, when it comes to making decisions that are legal type decisions or decisions with respect to strategy, etc., that's what you're paying a lawyer for. And I'm not talking about, hey, how much should I accept, or how much should we pay, or how much, those are decisions that, you might let me weigh in on, but those are the client's decisions. But decisions as to how to proceed with the case, or what to tell the other side, or what to do with, those are things that, unless it really doesn't matter. I'm going to say, look, we're going to have to stop this and get, you're going to get another lawyer to do it. Because I'm not going to.
Right, because I'll give you an example in family law, which is sort of interesting. When I interview a client and they're like, I want to drag my spouse through the mud in this, in this litigation, a red flag goes up, and I'm like, oh, and I have to redirect. I said, this isn't about, it's about advocating for your positions, but it's not a personal mission to humiliate your ex-spouse.
It's not about revenge.
Right. And actually, what happens is, and there's good lawyers and there's bad lawyers that aren't so good. And I find the lawyers that aren't so good are the ones that inflame the dispute and stoke up their clients to fight over things that don't matter. And so what you're doing is taking a lot of time fighting over things that don't matter and not addressing the real issues. Because as a lawyer, what you want to do is get down to the real issues of the dispute and not get off on all these brush fires that don't matter. And because all that does is, like Albert says, you pay for time. So do you want to use your time wisely, or do you want to use it fighting over something that doesn't matter? And, I think the biggest...
You may have these unscrupulous lawyers, too, that, hey, yeah, let's do this, and we'll run that bill up.
Right.
And I guarantee they exist, because there have been too many instances where I'm thinking to myself, what is this lawyer doing? Why are they arguing over this nonsense? Why do they want to go to court over something that could be resolved with an email or a phone call?
Right.
And so you gotta kind of look at that, play that scenario out in your mind. If you're a client, gee whiz, why are we spending money to do this? Why couldn't you make a phone call to the other attorney and say, hey, look, could you do this, or amend your pleading to do that, and we won't have to go to a hearing and spend all morning down in civil district court or wherever we go, and wait 2 or 3 hours for all these other lawyers to argue, so we can sit there and maybe get a judge to rule on something that we could have resolved by a telephone call or an email.
And I'll give another example in family law, which happens often. If you have if you have both spouses working, and there's the issue of spousal support's not on the table, and you have an adultery, okay? Well, it's a bad thing, and it is a heartbreaking issue, and it's gut wrenching, and it's a lot of emotions to it. But that has nothing to do with how you split up your community property. It has zero to do with it.
Right.
And, a lot of times when you have that situation, maybe one of the spouses said, the judge needs to know what he did. He needs to know how he acted. He needs to know the floozy that he met, that he was, messing around with, to see he's a bad person. And, it's like, hey, I'm very sorry that happened to you. I'm very sorry that this, it ended this way. But if we're just splitting up community property, the judge doesn't care. It doesn't matter. And in fact, if you bring it up, it'll just irritate him because he's going to ask, well, what does this have to do with community property? But there's, it's like I'm saying that the judge is never going to wag their finger at that person during a community property settlement and say, you were a bad husband or a bad wife because you broke your vow, you were unfaithful. That's not the venue for that to happen. And so, and a lot of times the clients just have a hard time understanding, well, why isn't that relevant? Why doesn't the judge need to know? And so, and that's part of the wisdom of the attorney, because you don't want to, I always say, do you really want to use your limited resources to pursue this on those type of issues? I mean, do you really want to, waste your money doing that? And like Albert says, a lot of times,
and it's not going to provide. It's not going to get you any relief.
It's
not going to do anything but make the person sound like a bad guy. Now, there are instances in litigation where there are things that are done where it is relevant.
Right.
It's like, okay, this guy did this, this, and this. Well, you know what? Maybe he
has a propensity
did this as well. Maybe he breached this part of the contract, so it might go to that person's credibility if there's a credibility call one way or the other. But in a community property settlement is, okay, here are our assets, here are our liabilities, how are we going to divide them up? And your faithfulness to your spouse, or whether you were, mean to, my mother-in-law, doesn't matter.
It's a different issue.
The issues, what is germane to getting to a resolution of that, and then you guys can argue all you want about the infidelity.
That's it. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
I've got your memory, or has it got me?
WWL, home of WWL First News Early Edition.
All right, we're chilling, baby.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. Time.
I kind of like that last segment where it was like, look, dude, sometimes things don't need to be handled in the courtroom.
Right.
And
well, what clients often think is important
Can y'all keep up with DeMario Davis? Come on,
isn't
young
what the judge wants to hear.
Can y'all keep up with D?
Nothing like football.
The Kubiak offense. They want to run the ball. If you can run, it'll make the passing game better, and everyone will have success.
Catch all pro coverage of Saints football on WWL.
Attention! All dogs for the new lottery ticket, $50,000.
Let me, you know what? I'm out of sheer curiosity. So, you're going to be off for the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yes.
And then you will be on the day before the Kansas City Chiefs game. That's going to be that's going to be like the three of us can have like a retrospective on how the Saints are doing 4 weeks in.
Here's my prediction on the season. They're going to be
That's a lot of kibble.
5-9, and then win their last three.
$50,000
And then go.
lottery. Top prize, $50,000.
I don't mean.
I'm telling you.
I don't even know what we have 2 afternoon games this year. I don't know. I'm trying to think. So, I mean, if it's 4 hours earlier, then you guys would still do your show, no?
Today must be
At a 3 o'clock game.
If you're building a new home or buying a new home from a builder.
I was gonna say, like, if it's 2 hours of pregame and then 2 hours of the pregame that we have, then that means at 3 it wouldn't be at 3, it'd be at like 11.
If you don't provide the builder with proper notice, you can lose your right to make a claim. This is Albert Nicaud with the Sunseri Law Firm.
I mean, we'll have a few weeks in October, and then we'll go back to it won't be as much of a drought as last year. It'll be 4 weeks show off, show 3 weeks back on for the bye week, which I think our bye week is actually the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then on again, and then 2 weeks off, and then here's a tricky one. They've got a Monday night game against Green Bay on December 23rd. It's not Christmas or anything. Are we having a show on the 22nd?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm turning 25 on the 23rd.
All right.
I'll be there the next day.
All right.
With your appointment.
And then what about the week weekend of Christmas. What does that look like? Where's Christmas this year?
Why?
Christmas is on a Wednesday, so would we have a show on the 29th?
Yeah, we would.
You do well.
Okay, well,
Absolutely.
we wouldn't actually, now that I look at it, because we
Saints
play the
playing.
Raiders at
Yeah.
noon.
No, then we would.
You'd have that off. You'd have a nice little, like, New Year's Eve week off or whatever.
I'm actually okay with that.
717.
Like,
You're okay with that?
oh yeah.
You know what, Colin? That sounds pretty damn good to me.
At ASU-LLC.com.
You know,
Philo's got
that's what I tell people.
for you to
I said,
with just
I got a
one
job.
Sign up.
No, you do. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm working all week.
Day off for the most part is Saturday.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I got a job too.
So much featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family.
Yeah, there's
shows
this attorney.
you can't
I saw in the
afford to miss.
bathroom.
And with up to 3
He's
screens of
criticizing me.
You'll never have to fight about
And
what
I'm
you
like,
watch. Get started today and unlock
Yeah,
your
it's
library of over
that's
75,000
critiquing me in a way that was. I don't mind being critiqued.
The unlimited DVR. So
is personal.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what?
For up to a year.
I said,
Philo
get your ass
now
in there.
includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals.
I said, take
like
a
Mad Men,
complex
The
legal
Walking Dead, Killing
concept
Eve,
and
Orphan
put it in
Black,
30
and
seconds
tons
so
of
everybody
blockbuster movies.
uptown can
There are
understand.
no contracts
There you go.
and no hassles.
You might know your way around a courtroom. You don't know your way around a microphone.
TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv.
All right, I got a perfect song for all the stuff we're talking about today.
That's philo.tv.
All things legal on
That's what law is. It's just a bunch of magic.
WWW.com and the Odyssey app. Connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. So I was just talking to have a general conversation about, the function of lawyers and what they do. And, some of the, I guess, disconnect between clients and how the system works or, just litigants in general. But I think what basically, a lot of times when we or meet with the judge, we often go meet in the back with the judge, and he says, all right, in 5 minutes, give us, tell me what's happening here before we go out into the courtroom so he can sort of get a preview. And I think what good lawyers do is figure out what are the most important facts in that 5 minutes you get with the judge to have him most favorably look upon your case. And so part of that is disseminating what facts are the most important for the judge to know and not wasting your time on minutia. Because if you got 5 minutes, you don't want to be talking about a bunch of minutia and missing the big picture. And I think, one issue we were talking about again as far as a client is saying a lot of times clients think what a good lawyer does is get the facts that moves the judge to him and disregards the information that he doesn't care about, or that's just minutia, or not important. And so I think sometimes clients think what they think is important is what the judge needs to know is really not important. And some of the things they may think is secondary is really what the judge wants to know about in order to, fairly evaluate the claim or the case.
Well, and you get into, something called relevance, right? And from a legal standpoint, is it relevant? Does it matter in terms of the ultimate issue? Is it at all going to help the trier of fact make a decision regarding what the issue is? And, it more often than not, those types of things are not relevant. And, it's again, you have sophisticated clients that are sophisticated in litigation. They understand these things and they realize that, gee whiz. I mean, I had a client the other day came in and we were going over some of the billing. It's like, well, man, this one cost me a lot of money. I said, I know you got sued, right? You got sued. And so we had to defend it. They filed this, they filed that. They had all this discovery we had to respond to. They filed a motion for summary judgment, which we defeated, over and over and over again. And we filed our own motion for summary judgment, which was successful. So we got you out of the lawsuit and it got dismissed. And so you paid nothing in damages. It's a cost of doing business when you're in business and you get sued that, hey, look, this is what we're paying and this is what you're paying us for. So you don't get hit with 3 times that in terms of a judgment or some sort of default judgment if you don't defend yourself. So, you know, it gets back to what we started talking about in the very beginning. How much is this worth to you? Do you want to go ahead and offer a few $1,000s to make this go away? Or, you know, do you want to continue down this road until, you know, you either get to a judgment or, you know, the case gets dismissed somehow, but we're now into it for just about what you would have, you know, what the original claim was for, which you could have settled for half. And so, and nobody knows that, right? No, nobody knows exactly what, but it's like going to a mediation, right? We've been going through literally hundreds of mediations over the last year or two with all of these IDA claims that we've been handling, right? And so we get to that mediation, and it's like, you know, gee whiz, well, this is not, you know, it's not what's going to what I wanted. It's not what my, you know, appraiser said it was going to be. It's somewhat less. And so, you know, obviously you push to try to get the most money you can from the insurance company, but at some point there's a matter of closure, right? Hey, is this going to make you whole? Is this going to allow you to put your house back together, cover your attorney's fees, and move on? You know, and if it is, you know, we'll probably recommend that type of settlement, right? But at the same time, if you want to ring the bell and get 3 years worth of judicial interest or 2 years worth of judicial interest, and you want to, you know, run up the attorney's fees higher and hope for a bigger number or a better number, you know, we're willing to do that. But there's a value to not keeping this claim open for at least another year. Going to try the case, worrying about, gee whiz, is there some coverage issue, or did you have some damages prior to this that, you know, your claims adjuster or your public adjuster included in the hurricane claim that they have knowledge of, that, hey, look, now all of a sudden you look like you're trying to puff up your claim with all of these pre-existing damages to your home. So there are a lot of issues in going to trial. There are a lot of things that can happen. And again, there is a value to closure, to having the litigation behind you on both sides and moving on, right? From an insurance company standpoint, it's a value to putting money on it, getting it done, getting those books off their reserves, and not maybe being hit with some tremendous judgment. Or, you know, maybe they can try it, spend a bunch more money on attorney's fees, and, you know, make your claim somewhat less. But it's a business decision for them. And even though it's your home and it's personal, it needs to be mostly a business decision for you, that, hey, look, let's take this now. You can get your house back in shape, or pay yourself back for what you've done, and move on, and, you know, not have to have this hanging over your head anymore.
Okay. Yeah. And, you know, and also too, I think if, on the, sort of in the same vein, you know, we get a lot of calls about claims, you know, maybe your lease deposit, or, you know, not being refunded on a car repair that they didn't fix and that sort of thing. You have small claims court out there to dispute, because a lot of times we'll say, look, you know, this would, you know, you probably don't want to get an attorney to handle this, but you can do this in small claims court, and or justice of peace, and have your dispute resolved. It's sort of like the old people's court in a certain sense, where you have to present a case, but it's done by individuals without attorneys a lot of times, and in a little bit more of an informal setting, even though you still have to abide by the rules of evidence. And, you know, you can resolve some disputes that are under $5,000 and you know, yourself under those in those type of courts with the justice of peace or small claims courts.
Exactly.
So, all right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll go to a couple of texts when we come back after this brief time out.
WWL, home of WWL First News with Tommy Tucker. Always live on the free Odyssey app. WWL is now the official home of your New Orleans Pelicans. Keep it locked on the Big 870 for every electrifying moment of Pelicans basketball on the powerhouse, WWL.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama.
We actually have a caller that is that we're gonna take. He's got a good question. It's something that we haven't heard or talked about in a while. It's Hurricane Ida stuff.
Started today.
Okay.
Unlock our library.
We have Arthur from New Orleans calling about Hurricane Ida. Specifically, his insurance company filed for bankruptcy. He's wondering if there's a limitation on making a settlement or offer or whatever from the new insurance company that is now handling his claim.
Of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead.
I think kind of asking more specifically about like the timeline and like, hey, just when is anything gonna happen?
Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for?
I told him, I was like, hey, he called and he was like, hey, got a Hurricane Ida question, and I was like, I verbatim, I said, we haven't had one of those in a while.
Your tax liability, receive tax
we did that for 2 straight years.
No, we every single week in and out, like, hey, get your claims in, get your claims in, get your claims in.
Your local tax professionals to help you or your clients get back on track.
But I mean, like,
985-722-1040.
No clue. Hey, he didn't say who his company was or anything like that, though.
722-1040. Or reach out to us at gotaxresolution.com. That's GEAUX taxresolution.com.
Hi, this is Sam with Go Tax Resolution.
We're back in about 2 minutes. We'll have more.
What's his name?
Time for him.
Well, Go Tax Resolution is former IRS
Arthur
agents
from
specialize in tax, and we'll find the best solution for you. Give Go Tax Resolution a call today to schedule your consultation and make this the year to take back control. That's 985-722-1040, or visit us at gotaxresolution.com. That's GEAUX taxresolution.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially
Hall of Fame game, it's this Thursday, August 1st, Texans, Bears, Canton, Ohio, at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. It is, Chicago is favored by 2 and like 2 points, and it'll be 7 p.m. on ESPN ABC. I don't know about you. We're automating the game. I'll be here that night, but if I didn't work Friday morning and everything like that, or Friday night or whatever, I'm watching that. It's not good football, but it's football.
You know how you bet?
Preseason football.
Free with the
whoever's got the best backup quarterback.
No, 100%. Again, it's not. You're not going to see Caleb Williams. You're not going to see C.J. Stroud. You're probably not going to see any starters. You're literally just going to see football. And to a lot of people, that's kind of all you want right now.
Yep.
It's like that's more than enough. And then next Thursday, ironically enough, the Panthers will play on Thursday Night Football.
Oh yeah, and he waves.
And then the Falcons actually play on Friday, and then the Bucks play on Saturday about an hour before we play.
The free Odyssey app and never miss a beat with alerts on breaking stories sent directly to your phone. Listen today on the free Odyssey app.
All right, come back.
That's AUDACY. Now, more All Things Legal, underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinion shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, All Things Legal. Let's go to the phone line. Let's go to Arthur. Hey, Arthur, you on All Things Legal. What can we do for you?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I have a Hurricane Ida question. As we know, many insurance companies, I guess, filed bankruptcy, so the state took over. So that means the homeowner and now lawyers have taken over. Is there a limitation on how long the state, whoever company in the state assigned the insurance to take over is there a limitation on how long they can hold out to, like making a stupid offer of $1,500? So is there a limitation on how long they can hold you out? In other words, not make a real offer or go to mediation.
Well, has a lawsuit been filed?
Yeah, it was done in a timely manner.
Okay, if you got a lawsuit, if they don't, your ultimate remedy is to go to trial if they don't make an offer. I mean, that's now it's usually in the best interest of the insurance companies to make the offers because they have so many claims, and that it's very expensive for them to defend these cases right now, and it's often cost them more to defend the case than to actually settle them. So now you do have LIGO, right?
Yeah.
LIGO is very hit and miss right now. LIGO has so many claims that they're having difficulty wrapping their arms around them. And we've gone to many mediations with LIGO, probably a couple of hundred already. And in some mediations, they're ready. And we resolve the case. And we do, we work hard at it. And, we do some compromising. And we don't have penalties and attorney's fees like you do under regular insurance companies. So we have to discount our settlements somewhat or value the claim. But in some of the mediations, they're just not ready. They just, we go to mediation and they're just not ready. And it's mostly because they have so many claims that they have to process that they weren't able to really wrap their arms around them. Now, when we do go to mediation and they're not ready, what we'll typically do is have a discussion as to what the relevant issues are, the real issues. And then a lot of times the mediators will reset it in a month or two. Sometimes LIGO will ask for a reinspection or additional information, and then we'll reset the mediation in a month or two and reconvene and see if the additional information is helpful in ultimately resolving the claim. So you're right now in a hit and miss situation. The biggest thing that your attorney can do is provide him all the information that's relevant to your claim. Repair records, estimates, canceled checks of repairs that were conducted, photographs of repairs that have been conducted, photographs of unrepaired work, and sort of make it very orderly for them. Because if you make it orderly for them, it'll be easier for them to evaluate. So probably the biggest thing to make sure is that you've given your attorney all the repair records, your canceled checks, photographs, updated photographs of the repairs, updated photographs of the unrepaired items. Get them to your attorney, get it to the LIGO adjuster, and at that point, they'll probably you'll be further down the closer to the goal line.
Yeah, and keep in mind too that LIGO, in Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association, right? So that's funded by the state. It's funded by our premiums. You'll see a fee, a guarantee.
Your mic is still on, but check your phone.
Every one of your bills that if you have it,
we can take her here. We can break and then take her.
That to fund LIGO, and LIGO got hit pretty hard with the number of claims, and so the amount of money in the kitty got pretty low, and so they eventually the legislature appropriated more money for LIGO to pay claims. So there was a huge delay, first of all, in transferring those claims from these bankrupt insurance companies, that some of which didn't keep terrific records. And so they would transfer all of those. They had to hire new claims adjusters and new claims services. They had to administrate them to figure out where they would go, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden somebody had to start over from the get-go on every single claim with, what happened so far, how much was paid, what's been submitted, what's the correspondence been back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. So it took quite a while to get to that point. And then when they started paying claims, the money ran low, so they had to wait for the legislative session and the legislature to appropriate more money.
When Albert stops, you say, thank you, Arthur, and then let's go to Cleon, put her in. I told her to be quick, and then we'll take a break.
You just, it's one of those things, and we have LIGO issues at our office as well. Well, what took so long? Why did it take so long? Well, it's kind of out of our hands because we can't sue them for penalties. We can't sue them for attorney's fees. It's a state it's a state-run agency, and so it's whatever their time frame is in terms of payment or in terms of settlement.
Yeah, right? they got the checkbook, they got the pen to write the check, and they have no consequences for not writing the check when you want them to. So that's the reality you're dealing with. All right, thanks for the call, Arthur. Let's go to Cleon. Cleon, what do you have? Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you for your candor. In my ignorance, I was just lucky that the way I was brought up was, you hang your dirty laundry in your own backyard, or if it's that bad, in the basement. And I figured that no way to honor my mother was to have my sister's name in the newspaper. And so I didn't bite. But how many times that lawyer that I thought I was being smart, because once upon a time I had been in the real estate business in that neighborhood, and I took recommendations from real estate agents to whom he was bringing listings. But if a lawyer is egging you on, take heed, and thank you again for all you do.
There you go. Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. And so, well, we just want to, help people give them good information, and help make good decisions when it comes on the legal side. All right, let's go to a break. Sunseri and Albert Nicaud, you weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
WWL, home of
We got one more text we could really try to fit in about Jefferson Parish small claims court.
Get the WWL shows you love.
You see, it's the most recent one.
Free. Download the Odyssey app and follow your favorites. Tommy Tucker, Newell Norland, Scoot. Listen when you want, how you want, or tell your smart speaker.
We'll have a good chunk of time here. So we can definitely talk about the text. We can
we'll talk a little bit about it.
We can reminisce about how this time next week the NFL season will have officially started.
Download the BetQL app or visit betql.com today.
All right, so we're back. It's 52 flat right now on the clock I've got in the studio. We're back at basically 54, 54:40 or so. So we'll have at least 5 minutes and 10 seconds.
Every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Now, each night, one lucky winner will have a chance to choose one of the gold bars to win either $100 in free slot play or the current cash progressive amount, which could be as high as $10,000.
What do you want to end with music-wise?
So come on down to the Slipper and play any Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and earn your chance
Let's
to
see.
bid for the gold.
Have a good time at the
my problem is I go back to my old regulars.
To win the ultimate fantasy
But,
experience, Coca-Cola Zero Sugar.
I can NFL music. I mean,
let's do NFL music. That's good. That's good.
I got some NFL films music.
I like the Raiders theme. It's my favorite.
I don't know them by name, but I know them.
Autumn Wind. Autumn Wind.
To win it, Coke Zero Sugar.
Which one?
Autumn Wind. AUTM. Now, we tried to get the NFL films to be the theme song for our show, but they wouldn't let us.
We have in the studio, and I noticed this this past summer. I noticed it, I want to say in the spring sometime. We have on our bumps page, we have just an ungodly amount of bumper music, and we've got Saints bumps and LSU bumps and news bumps and rock bumps and everything like that. 30-second bumps, 50-second bumps, 60-second bumps. And in the top left corner, I never noticed it, we have NFL Films bumps. And I've started cycling through those. They're what you hear. They're like Westwood One Place and everything. They're the real deal.
Yeah, well, we grew up with that because there was only one highlight show a weekend.
I know, yeah.
And you get all your highlights in 1 hour show, and they played NFL music, so you were just keyed into it.
Savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
As a roofer,
all right, I don't think I found Autumn Wind, but I'm finding other things.
They got Raiders theme. They got
Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. And with the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Now through September 15th, purchase high-quality GAF with Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $1,500. Go to BECN.com or download the Beacon Pro Plus app today. Beacon.
I might have grabbed it. I don't know. We'll find out.
That's it. That is it.
Take it away.
All right, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. The autumn wind, that's the Raiders theme. When you hear that, I think of Kenny Stabler, Dave Casper, Marv Hubbard, Clarence Davis, Bill Filippiano. Those were the Raiders. So you had to pull. You see, in the 70s, the Saints weren't winning. Aside from that 78 season where they went 8-8, or 79 season they went 8-8, 78 they went 7-9. They wasn't winning, so you had to have a backup team that you loved. And my backup team was the Snake and the Raiders. So that's the Raiders team. Okay, we got a text. Is there a website in Jefferson Parish to learn about Jefferson Parish Small Claims Court? Is it located in the Yenny building? Thank you for your time and information. Yes, I think it's Judge Cusimano. He is the Justice of the Peace in Jefferson Parish. I think they're on the 6th or 7th floor of the Yenny building. And I'm sure he's got a website that you can go to that'll guide you through it. Also, his staff, you can call them. They're wonderful. His staff is wonderful. If you got any questions, they'll help you walk.
He does have a website, Jefferson Parish. You just search Jefferson Parish, Justice of the Peace, or Charles Cusimano. It'll pop up. And
remember, you still got a couple minutes here, so and again, treat it like a normal segment. You're not in any rush.
You go in, you bring your evidence, you bring your photographs.
Let me worry about the clock, and I'll let you know when we're getting close.
And the other side, and he'll make a decision based upon what he sees and what the testimony is, just like in a court.
Okay, and then we got another text, which is very important. It says, "Do you think Dennis Allen is on the hot seat?" So I would say that.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, pretty much most coaches are on the hot seat. I think he's got to win 10 games to be assured of keeping his job. If he goes 9-8 and gets in the playoffs, he's safe. I think the question will be is whether he's under 500 in 8-9. So we'll see. This is 3 years. I think the player turnover. There's no Sean Payton residual. There's no coaches. Very few. I think most of his coaching staff has turned over. So we'll see. As we always say every year, the difference between being 7-10 and 10-7 may be 1 or 2 plays. And so, depending on how those 1 or 2 plays occur, last year we could have been 11-6 if you had made a play against Green Bay, and one other play where we, just in Green Bay, if we make the play in Green Bay, we're in the playoffs. So, or hold the lead. So, who knows? We'll stay. I think the whole general mood is let's wait and see. I don't think there's uber optimism, but we're Saints fans, so we have a certain foundation or base of optimism every year. But I think it's more of let's wait and see. And I think everybody's willing to give the season a chance. But there's not like Super Bowl talk, but let's just wait and see. And the division will be a lot better this year. You're going to have Baker Mayfield with another year under his belt at Tampa. I think he's going to be very formidable. Kirk Cousins worries me in Atlanta. He is the right quarterback for the Falcons. They're very talented. They just hadn't had a quarterback. And we should pick up 2 wins against Carolina. Carolina is probably the worst franchise in the NFL right now. And not a lot of stability. I'm wondering if they're second-guessing whether they should have picked Bryce Young or the Texans quarterback. So, we'll who knows. All right, Albert, anything before we sign off?
No, have a great week. And if you have any questions, you can call us at 504-837-1304. And Doug and I will be happy to visit with you.
20 seconds.
All right. In the meantime, y'all have a great week.